Hey, and welcome back to the Swell Shenanigans podcast. I'm your host, Amanda, but you can call me Swell. And as I say every single episode, we are still figuring out exactly what this podcast is going to be. But I do know that I love talking about all things social media, pop culture, and shenanigans. And my guest today is an internet historian, Izzy, also known as Izzzyzzz. Izzzyzzz, yes, Izzzyzzz. I'm horrible.
All valid, all valid.
Yeah. But she is another YouTuber like myself, and she covers a variety of topics and internet deep dives, and her videos are always constantly getting me obsessed over websites that I was never even a part of when I was a kid. And I'm like, oh, I want to know how Neopets fell apart. Absolutely. Let's learn about all their controversies. So yes, hi, thank you so much for coming on.
That's okay. It's my pleasure.
You were officially the furthest guest to be on the podcast, so thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I feel like I get like 90% of my comments are just people who like don't understand anything I say because of my accent. So hopefully I'm legible.
No, I can totally understand you, and I'm deep Californian, so
Yeah, I always am like baffled. I don't really know whether it's like me or it's just like American people haven't met that many people from New Zealand because like people also say like, I love you, like what's Britain like, or like how's Australia? And I'm like, no.
oh
Not
my
quite.
gosh. Yeah, Americans have really bad one, listening comprehension is just not a skill on YouTube. Just it just isn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think accent literacy is also just non-existent in Americans.
It seems so crazy to me because it feels like so many places in America have such like diverse communities of people. Like it seems like such a place with like so many different people. I mean, I feel like New Zealand has a lot of people, but I mean, obviously America's bigger, so I'm like surprised it's not like super like so many different people like can spot an
Mhm.
accent from anywhere. But I feel like most Americans don't even know what New Zealand is. So.
They're like, it's on that side of the world, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most people are just like, oh, like the one with like the hobbits, right? And I'm like, yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, you would be surprised the number of people who like genuinely think hobbits are like real. It's like, I mean, not really.
Oh my god, now I'm like obsessed. I kind of want to see what your DMs look like.
It's mainly just like comments that are just like very like uninformed about
Yeah.
what New Zealand is. And yeah, I mean, it's understandable with people who think I'm from like Australia or whatever because it's like quite similar, but like British or like South African as well. And I'm like, how did you get that from this? But I mean, it's okay. It doesn't bother me, but
Okay. But yeah, you cover such a variety of topics, and your thumbnails are always incredible, and you always have incredible makeup looks, which is like one of the things I'm always like, okay, great, I get to see what Izzy's makeup looks are doing. Like your recent videos, you got Virus or Deep Web Horror, the story of Luna Game, the rise and fall of Girls Go Games. We've
yeah.
got such a variety of topics, and I feel like my videos are long because I ramble and I talk in circles and I don't script anything beforehand. But your videos are long because you really do like full on deep dives into the timelines of the downfalls of so many of these internet milestones. I guess that's the word, or like
Yeah.
cultural
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, it's I feel like literally most of that just comes from the fact that I cannot ad lib. Like I feel like so many YouTubers like I envy those who can like speak like really eloquently like off the cuff, just super like structured, but when I get in front of a camera and I don't have like an exact script to follow, I just like literally the worst word salad, just nonsense rambling you've ever heard. Like I had a few older videos on my channel where I thought I could do that and they're gone because I
Mhm.
can't. So like I feel like most of the time just like the whole like scripted thing just really comes from the fact that like I mean obviously it's good because you can sort of like format it and lay it out and get all your sort of thoughts onto paper kind of thing, but yeah, half of it is just because I can't speak, so it's just easier for me to like structure it and be like, okay, you just need to say these words according to the script and you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I also think some people just think that it really is easy to like just talk into a camera. And it's like, sometimes it's super weird, like the disconnect between, okay, I'm talking to a lens, but like I need to make sure that people understand what I'm saying, and that's not a natural mindset for people to be in when they're trying to convey something, which is why I always say, like, I talk in circles, and then I get comments every once in a while when my channel starts getting promoted randomly. I get comments like, I've never seen someone who's so condescending, because what I say a lot is I say, does that make sense? But it's not from a place of like, are you understanding what I'm saying? It's me making sure that I'm actually making sense, because I spoke in circles so many times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you like have the same thing, but sometimes I feel like I have like crises where I'm talking into the camera, like what I'm saying isn't making sense, like I'm completely like floundering on the lines, and I'm like, fuck, like this isn't working, like shit, and then I'm just sitting there I'm just like yelling into a camera alone in my room right now, like what am I doing?
You have a moment of conscious thought where you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like I look ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
Like if someone walked by my window, they would think I'm insane. Like
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, how did my life come to this?
yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. But yeah, no, you cover such a variety of fandom topics that I'm so obsessed with, because I am just terminally online, and so there's so many things that I'm just like, okay, I need someone to discuss this with. But like
Yeah.
your video on the toxicity of the Voltron fandom it was stuff that I had heard about. Like I think I watched like the first 2 seasons, and then I think I just kind of stopped following up when it started getting updated. But like I heard all of the crumbling infrastructure of a fandom from like afar, and so your video condensing it all into like, I was like, oh my, it's just like every 2 minutes there's something more and more wild that you shared about like people getting threats that were just voice actors on a show and stuff, and it's insane.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I had like a lot of friends who were like, because I wouldn't say it was like super super deep in it, but I had a lot of friends who were like I was in the battlegrounds, like you need to talk about this. And like after I put the video out, literally like one of the voice actors got in contact with me, and they were like, yeah, it's like pretty much even worse than you see. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, it was very rough.
Yeah, have you had, when you do make videos about that, because I know like there's a variety of other, like I'll say video essayist, I think that's probably a
Yeah.
good category, yeah, like who I know cover like a variety of fandom drama and stuff, and there's always at least a subset of backlash for it, that's people assuming that they know nothing about, that they were never a part of that fandom or were never a fan of something that they are talking about, but then also just immediately assume that they're like making up things to make things seem worse. But then even like you just said, like you had one of the voice actors reach out to you to say, oh yeah, no, it was worse.
Yeah.
Did you see any backlash to it once you put out videos like that, or?
Yeah, well, that's like an interesting topic because I've had a lot and I've seen a lot of discourse about like, similar people. Like obviously I won't name names, but I'm sure most people know the general other video essayists that I'm kind of grouped in with. Like people like that who they kind of get criticized, and I do as well, for sort of people saying like it's like disingenuine, they're not real fans of the things they talk about, like they're just sort of using these fandoms for clout sort of thing, which I think is like quite an interesting conversation because I mean, I feel like there's validity to it, but at least in my case, like the Voltron one, like people kind of assumed that like since I wasn't like one of the people actually like engaging in these like super crazy fandom events,
You
that like it
weren't
was
in the battlegrounds, like
yeah.
you weren't on the front lines, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I people have like said, like because of that I don't care about like anything I talk about, but like I feel like pretty much everything I talk about I was like a big fan of, and if not sort of like in the Voltron case, I was at least there for it, and I have friends who were very much there for it. And yeah, I mean, I think like I said, it's sort of like a valid conversation, but it's kind of like you said, like I mean, you didn't need to be actively engaging in like harassment to be knowledgeable about what was going on, Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I was generally like sort of in the general kind of Tumblr fandom area, and I've seen it and everything, and sort of was kind of on the sidelines when all of that was happening. And I mean, I thought it was bad then, and then when I researched it I thought it was bad, and then when people actually like more people came forward, like the voice actor and stuff like that, I was like, no, it was worse. So it's just kind of a rabbit hole of like yeah. I probably understated it, if anything.
Well, I think the thing that so many people, like even when you do cover something that maybe you weren't directly involved in, like so much of the information that is out there about things, even if you do more of a deep dive, like you're still never gonna really know the details of what's going on, especially like that voice actor reaching out to you. Like, we have no idea how many DMs they got sent, being like, hey, how dare you speak about this ship or whatever, like we really have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
idea about the details, or if anyone called the Netflix offices and was like, hey, I'm sending death threats, like we really don't, because like at a certain
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
when things are getting that bad, the logical thing for these, not creators, that's not the word, these showrunners, actors, all of that, like it's smarter to keep it quiet, to not encourage more of that behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if like if like Netflix or something came out with a statement like stop harassing the showrunners of Voltron like on their Twitter or something, like that would just become like a meme or something like that. Like I feel like these big corporations just like never acknowledge it because that just adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, but then I feel like also there is such a degree of it where it's like, well, I mean, you're not clocked in when you're getting the harassment, so really we don't have to deal with it, and it is like that's a you problem. You have healthcare, like go to therapy on your own time, like that's
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like quite an interesting point as well, because I'm sure that you've probably had it in the past too, but it is quite hard, like, because I like spend quite a lot of time like trying to do research and stuff, but pretty much in almost every video I do get things wrong, and it's quite hard because I feel like people sort of hold you to the standard where like you are like the one true like source of information, and it's like so tough because I'm always just like getting like little things wrong, and sometimes things come out after the fact, and like I feel bad because like it's hard to sort of get all the information like before you make the video. I feel like most of the information that like I get comes after because people are like, hey, like I was there and etc. But you don't have that before you make it, so it can be a little bit difficult with stuff like that.
Yeah, or someone commenting on your video, even like, why didn't you talk about this? It's like, well, I didn't find
Yeah.
information about that. And like, at the end of the day, I think people forget that like we're YouTubers, like we're not journalists or researchers. Like, this is literally like just this weird hobby that turned into like some form of like a full-time job in a sense. And my favorite comments are, I did a video on how TikTok made me hate this building in New York, 432 Park Avenue.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This building built for these billionaires and stuff. And I was just mainly talking about how ugly this building is. And it's like, oh, this building costs so much and it costs so much to live there and it's miserable there. And the amount of comments I still get on like a weekly basis telling me that I know nothing about architecture. I shouldn't talk about things that I don't know anything about. And it's like, you're right. I'm a YouTuber who's making fun of this ugly toothpick building. That is it. I never claimed to be an authority on architecture. Like, and the fact that you're simping for a building is super weird.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I feel like people come out in defense in like the weirdest situations. Really funny sometimes. You'll get notifications of people commenting like hate, and then you'll see like they've replied to like every other top comment, like being like, no, actually, like, so it was like one of these people who'd like replied to like every comment like made on the video with their own like thing, but they were saying like, because I put out that video about Luna Game and sort of talked a little bit about the brony community and stuff, and they said something like, oh, she like liked comments that were like anti-brony, like she hates the My Little Pony community. It's like I don't know why I would make a video on it if I didn't like it.
I think also like back to the initial point about, people criticizing or claiming that like, oh, you weren't involved in this thing, so you can't talk about it. I think that's also like kind of dismissive of just like research and just again, I just said we weren't researchers or journalists or anything like that, but like,
I mean, research is involved.
Yeah, research is involved, and like at the end of the day, like social media is still like a fairly new medium and still the wild west as far as like the information and events coming out about it, and the things are unfolding like in real time. We're still learning all the details about stuff that happened years ago and all of that, and it's like, I mean, are we not allowed to compile information or do our own research on anything? Whether like if I tomorrow decided that I was going to, make a video talking about Club Penguin and, some random elements of it, even though I haven't played Club Penguin since I was 8, does that mean I am a Club Penguin hater? Like if I criticize, like if I criticize any aspect of it, like, or even like what's another, like, again, I've never played Neopets. If I make a video talking about like, oh, here's all this information I found on Neopets, and I'm just talking about that information, am I wrong for being able to like even just share more information about what is like make it easier to find for people? Like, it is an interesting question and all of that.
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, I've seen a lot of channels where, like people will talk about like historical events and I mean, I'm not comparing like Neopets to like a historical event, but like, yeah, I feel like it's sort of a similar thing. Like, I mean, obviously, if you were there for something, that's going to add like another dimension of perspective to it. And you're going to inherently be more knowledgeable without the research. But then I've watched a lot of videos on things that people obviously weren't there for, or things that people sort of, they weren't really part of it but they still want to cover it. And I mean, I feel like if the research is good, I still genuinely enjoy like videos like that. And sort of like I said earlier, like generally most things I cover because I want to, or because it was part of my childhood, like Girls Go Games and Warrior Cats and My Little Pony and all that kind of stuff. Or it's just something that was like, and I was in the vicinity for, like just a lot of the Tumblr stuff. So it's all sort of like nostalgic for me. So I mean, I feel like personally I draw from a bit of a place of like knowledge, but I mean, in some cases like you just draw from research, which I think is like equally fine. And it's sort of interesting, like how you brought up the sort of like opinion thing. Like a few times, I generally try to just keep it sort of like the facts, but like I put my like opinion in there sometimes, and yeah, people really don't react very well to that because I don't know. I guess they sort of interpret my opinion as like I'm trying to state it as fact, but like I feel like YouTubers have to put so many disclaimers on their videos. Like they have to spend 20 minutes saying like this isn't fact, like this is just my opinion, like don't come for me, like I didn't mean it, like, and people still leave comments like fuck you, like you're saying that this is like a thing but it's not. Yeah, it's quite tough. It's hard to know how people react to things, honestly, and it's hard to sort of divorce fact from opinion when people just take it all as like one thing, you know?
I think also because when you're, especially with the topics that you cover, like you mentioned nostalgia, like for some people, like this was their whole childhood, some of the stuff you're talking about. And so for them, maybe they did only have a positive experience because maybe, yeah, they were involved in the Voltron fandom, but they weren't on Tumblr. They just did it on other platforms, or they were just a fan of the show and had friends in school that were a fan of it. Maybe they see it as like, oh, retroactively, I'm being attacked because I was a fan of this thing, so I'm being looped in. But yeah, it's kind of like what you said. It's hard to divorce the whole, like the minefield of opinions, and like it's a battleground out here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say it like a lot, like it's like some super like serious thing that everyone's like sending hate or whatever, but it's absolutely not. Like most of the stuff I talk about is just like goofy, nostalgic stuff, and most people are like, yeah, like that was like I remember that it was fun and like goofy and stuff, and like it's mostly totally fine. It's just a few like times there have been sort of like a little bit of like strife or whatever, but for the most part, like it's totally fine. It is not a big deal at all. But yeah, I guess it just makes you sort of like, I feel like as starting off as a like YouTuber, I was just really like brash and stuff and just like going in like full force, just like stupid like uninformed opinions on like random topics, and then I was like, okay, like you have to not be a dick. So
Yeah. I mean, with myself, I just try to be like, okay, here's the facts that I was able to find. Here's, if I have any bias, here is my bias. Here is my opinion portion. What's your opinions, and then I can stoke the comment section at the same time, and I think maybe with your content, because so much of it is just like, I don't want to say just a timeline, but like you just kind of do a beat by beat, so that maybe some people do see it as like a little harder to interpret when you are sharing your opinions versus talking about the actual facts of a downfall or like the unfolding of, I don't want to say drama, because that's not what some of this is. Some of this is just like unhinged fan behavior. Like it's
yeah. I feel like it's kind of funny, like when people use like the word drama for things. So like I feel like it's used so like randomly on the internet these days. Like it'll be something like super serious, and people are like, oh, it's just like drama. It's like, oh, is it, like if there's like jail time involved, is it drama?
Yeah. People send me stuff and I'm like, hi, I am not the authorities. Like
Yeah.
this is a pedophile. Do not send, can you do a video on this person? It's like, this is a pedophile. Like contact
Yeah.
someone. That's not
Yeah,
a YouTuber.
this I feel like I get that a lot as well, because it's crazy, like people will like contact you and be like, oh, like you should cover like this, or like you should cover this. And I don't know if you, I'm maybe you have, but like that's like a cosplayer thing that happened recently with the cosplayer who ended up like accidentally killing their friend or
Oh,
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's happening. I'm seeing it all over TikTok, and people are like treating it like it's this weird, like, oh my gosh, so I guess the cosplay girlies are killing people now. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, someone's dead.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've gotten quite a lot of like DMs and comments saying like, "Hey, like you should cover this topic," and it's like, I don't know. I feel like the weird like desire to turn like a tragedy that just happened into content is quite like insidious. You know, like I don't blame these people for like feeling that way because I feel like social media with like true crime stuff and everything, it kind of conditions you to see this stuff as, you know, I don't want to know the story, I want to like consume it, but it's quite hard. Like for me, like sometimes, you know, you fall into, especially earlier on when I started off sort of doing like drama content, I guess, it was easy to sort of see stuff like that as like, oh, you know, it's like a juicy story, and it's like sucks that it kind of conditions you to feel like that, especially for like younger kids, because I feel like you got to take a step back and realize like, no, that's like a murder case. It's not content.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think though also because like to some people like I think some people really see content creators as like their only like their I don't want to say their news but like they want to hear our takes on things, and sometimes they want us to be the ones doing the research and you know compiling everything and all of that for them. So part of it is like, hey, I want to know the details of this case, but you know, maybe you have more resources than I do. And it's like, no, I really have access to the same information that you do, unless, you know, I reach out to someone and ask for an interview or I do something like that. And even then, it's like someone is dead in the case of this cosplayer. Like, someone is dead. There was this other thing where recently on a popular creator on TikTok, and I want to say OnlyFans as well, there was allegations of child neglect coming out about this. And people were like, demanding that all of these creators on TikTok and stuff were like commenting on it. And it's like, one, they just found out everything that we just found out. And two, it's like because they spoke with someone once on a TikTok collab or whatever does not mean they knew about all this other stuff that was going on or just happened even. It's like, can you comment on this? And it's like, I mean, sometimes the right response is to just, you know, cut them off and be done, you know, with certain things like that.
it's one of those things, sort of like we were talking about earlier. Like, I feel like not when people are like demanding your research to be better, because you know it can always be better, and that kind of criticism is good. But people who sort of take your word as like gospel and are super serious about it, and it's like, I shouldn't be your news source. I'm a random person just filming stuff like for a YouTube channel. Like I shouldn't be the only way that you hear about these topics, you know, like especially if they're like really serious ones. I mean, like it's totally fine to just like watch a sort of goofy video, but you know, I think relying on one YouTuber or one TikToker or whatever to get all your news from can be dangerous, because and I mean, in most cases, they're not like professionals, they're not like the media, they're just, like you said, they have the complete same resources that we do, just articles pretty much. So like,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like creating a micro bubble for yourself. I also think that's dangerous for, I mean, an internal struggle for people because, like, eventually, because it's just everyone's human, like, they're going to get something wrong. And then suddenly, your one source of information that you trust is now not trustful to you anymore because they got something wrong. Or they said something that you disagreed with. And then now it's like, oh no, they're the enemy. And like, I've definitely had that, you know, with, because I try not to get, I don't say I try not to get, I choose not to involve a lot of like my own political opinions in certain things. But I mean, it's not hard to figure out if you watch some of my videos. And then if I ever say something explicit, then someone, and I, without fail, like I have a video coming out tomorrow, I think, where I said, get vaccinated because 2 people in my family got COVID. Like, please get vaccinated. And I already know I'm going to get at least 2 emails telling me to stop spreading misscience information or something like that, you know, like,
Yeah, I think it's quite hard because like it is really one of those things where like when you say a thing, or even when you state opinions, like I feel like a lot of people don't quite realize just how much you get like slammed from either side. Like if you explicitly go out and say something, like side that like disagrees with that, I guess, like fully like comes in, and like vice versa, you know, like it's sort of like one of those things where like, I mean, it's the right thing to do, like obviously like saying get vaccinated is like common sense completely, but like I feel like people don't realize how many like people will just like come into your DMs and be like, oh, like stop spreading information, like, or like I've said a few times just things like trans people having rights or like LGBTQ stuff, and people will be like, oh, like I was like on board up until that point. It's like, it's crazy, like it seems like common sense to you when you say these things, but then you realize just how many people are like totally unhinged and will just like come and be like, oh, like why did you say that? Like it's
Yeah.
honestly
I don't know how to
crazy.
teach people, like the thing I like to say when I get comments in my DMs or something, I'll either just ignore it, or like with anti-vaxxers right now, I just block on sight. Like I have no
Yeah,
patience for it right now. Like I almost
yeah.
lost my dad to this. Like I have no patience for it. And so, but like there's times where I just be like, you know, like I don't know how to tell you how that you should care for people if like you don't, like you should think about other people than yourself. Like I don't know how to explain that to you.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things where like it happens so often that like I feel like you can't even address all of it. You can't individually go to all these people and like in depth explain like, hey, like you should get vaccinated because COVID fucking kills people. Like you don't have the energy to like explain this to everyone. You just have to sort of give up at some point and be like, well, it's not really my responsibility to make this person have empathy, you know? Like
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, killer clowns. Sorry, I just went. I have your YouTube opened on the on another tab, and I was like, okay, what's a video we can change this topic to?
yeah, sorry, that got like quite like a deep.
No, we're
Like
good. Yeah, we got deep. Anyway, hi, get vaccinated. Swell Shenanigans approved. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, I never got the chance to watch your the bizarre 2016 clown invasion, but I remember when that was happening, and I was finishing up high school at that time, I think, because that was the year I graduated, and that was just like such a weird time because I knew people who were driving around with like in Southern California. I don't even think we had in Orange County in my town. I don't even think we had any sightings of the clowns. Like I don't think that was ever a thing in my town area, but I know people who were driving around with baseball bats in their car specifically for clowns. Like they were like
Oh my
prepared.
god.
I was like, you're fine. And then I was there anything that you found where you were like, this was like a genuine worry and concern, or was it just all like random hoax stuff?
I mean, like it's I feel like it's one of those things where it kind of like started as a hoax, but then like when people started hearing about it, it's that sort of like copycat thing where like suddenly everyone was actually doing it and it genuinely became a problem. But by that point, people were confused over whether it was a hoax or not. So it just like kind of spiraled out of control. I mean, like in New Zealand, I mean, it's like pretty small here. So we didn't really have it on the scale that you guys in America did. But I mean, I'm pretty sure we still had like a few like clown sightings here. So it was like pretty crazy because the vibe you got was like, oh my god, if like if it's spread to New Zealand, you know it's bad. Like
Like it's the pandemic.
yeah, it's like spreading like a virus, like a clown virus.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I just remember my favorite, like around that time, I say my favorite loosely, but somewhat there was a police department. I don't know if you covered this, but there was a police department that said, if you see one of these clowns, remember that they are humans and to not cause them any harm. And it was like, they have machetes. Like, what else are we supposed to like? Oh, okay, hey man, what's up? You know, like
I like the implication of that people think the clowns aren't humans.
yes,
Like
it's
some
like
other like
no, it's
beast.
not that. Yeah, like
It's like yeah, it's I feel like most of it was just like for like fake prank videos, but then like I feel like I've heard people genuinely be like, yeah, clowns came to my school, and I'm like, what?
yeah. No, I remember there was this one college where there was like, oh god, I want to say it was California, but I don't think so. But there was like a sighting of two clowns on campus, and everyone left their dorms in a horde to go and
Yeah.
hunt down the clown.
Yeah, and there was like videos of them all like swarming the campus, like going on a
Yes.
clown hunt. It's actually so like, like you wonder genuinely how it got to that point. Like,
Yeah. Oh, college kids are looking for a reason to go ape
yeah,
shit. So
that's true. Yeah, It's just like they probably would have done it anyway with or without the clowns.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Are there any of your like whether you were super involved in the fandom or not or anything like that, were there any deep dives or any things that you covered where you just found something like, what was the most wild fandom story or like deep dive or something that you found out like maybe that you didn't know before doing your research into these websites, fandom topics, girl boss, industry plants, like is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, like, kind of like I said, you'll do a video and then someone actually involved will kind of like reach out to you, and it's always pretty interesting, like seeing a sort of an inside perspective that's happened in sort of a few topics. But I mean, it's really hard to pick the wildest thing because, I mean,
You can pick more than one, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, like I'm trying to like think of what videos I've done. It literally like once I put a video out, it just slips my mind completely. I mean, I did a Warrior Cats video. Towards the end, I sort of talked about this sort of like mysterious like a lady that was sort of involved in the fandom, and her name was Suzanne, and she had done all these like little edits to the characters, and then the like author completely like threw her under the bus when people got pissed off, and literally no one knows who she is. And I actually got an email from her like afterwards, and she was like, yeah, like I'm Suzanne, and I was like, holy shit, but she never actually ended up responding to me responding to her. So I was like, okay. I mean, when I was doing the one that I just put out about Luna Game, that's probably one of my favorite ones because it was just like some random obscure game from like 10 years ago, and just as I happened to like be writing this video, the like anonymous creator came out like after 10 years of silence, and I was like, oh, what were the chances of this happening? Yeah, that was just like crazy because I went into it expecting to be like, oh, you know, it's a mystery that'll never be solved, but it just kind of solved itself. So it's like, that's convenient.
Okay, there is one other video of yours that I feel like we need to talk about because this was such, when I was in high school, I was like, I think I could make people think I have this. So Alexandria's Genesis.
Yeah. Oh my god, as soon as you said, they knew it was gonna be that.
For anyone listening who's not in the know, Alexandria's Genesis is, in your own words, Izzy, the internet's fakest, not disease, the fakest, yeah, just fakest disease, which was, it was, I want to say, was it started on Tumblr? Because that's where I heard about it. That's where I initially heard about it.
Yeah, it was definitely spread on Tumblr, but it originated on like a Daria fan forum. It was like part of a Daria fan fiction is where it came from.
Oh my god.
Like she gave her Daria OCs, the purple eyes and everything, and was like, yeah, they have a disease called Alexandria's Genesis. And then somehow from that like super obscure Daria fan fiction forum from like the early internet, it somehow came onto like the modern internet, and then you get all those like deep fried Instagram like infographic things that are like, did you know like that you can get a disease where and that's
it
how
was like, yeah,
spread.
1 in 2 million people have it where they don't sweat, they age very slowly, and then I remember Tumblr, the other one that I saw constantly was like a WikiHow that someone had made where it was how to convince people you have Alexandria's Genesis, and it was like, wear purple contacts, get a new driver's license that says you're older than you are, reference historical events as if you were there. Like it's like the most wild thing.
It's actually crazy. It's so funny because I feel like those WikiHows always just like confirm to me that like the main demographic for these like really random like rumors are just like tweens who are in like primary school and like middle school, and because I feel like I was literally like that kind of person who would be like, yeah, like I have Alexandria's Genesis, like you can't really see it in this light, but like just like randomly just being like, yeah, like I'm sure I have this disease that makes me like special.
Yeah, if you ever had a phase where you try to convince someone you were a mermaid or a werewolf, like I did, you probably at one point were like, I think I have Alexandria's Genesis. It's just that the green eyes that I currently have are actually contacts, and it's to protect my safety. Like it's the unhinged, the unhinged twin girl.
Like I can like change them at will, but like the like authorities are hunting me down, so I like have to pretend I don't have it. Oh my god. Literally,
I don't have
it's
superpowers, but I actually do.
yeah. It's like I can't tell like anyone, but like I'm telling you because like you're my bestie, so like you can know. It's like crazy. I feel like it's that and like the same demographic, but like those who write fan fiction, like that's totally something I would give like my Mary Sue characters on like Wattpad or something.
Yes, like she had a severe car accident and now her eyes are blue or eyes are purple and no one knows why. They glow in the dark. Like,
Oh my god, I'm actually crying because I swear I remember like random stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, she got in like a physical accident and like her hair turned white and her eyes turned blue. Like, how? That's a thing. Oh my god.
oh my god. Yeah, no, there's a Alexandria's Genesis popped up again on TikTok not too long ago. I want to say it was Jayus. There's a TikToker who goes by the name Jayus. Half of TikTok wants to fight them, but they they made a video talking about, did you know there's a disease that gives you purple eye? Like they basically made like a did you know video and treated it like it was real. And I'm like, okay, I can't tell if they're trying to get troll views or if they genuinely believe that like they did research on it.
Yeah, because I feel like it's one of those things where like I feel like people would like see those like random Instagram like infographics. Like it's the same thing where like they do like fun fact. Did you know that this lady was dead for 60 days and came alive when her son visited her grave or something like that? Like it's completely like not true, but like you put it in like that Instagram format and people are like, wow, like I didn't know that.
This is a time traveler. He has this thing that he claims is an alternate version of the Beatles soundtrack or whatever. And it's like, okay. And like he could have, like, there's literally a zillion other reasons of
What
why
a
he can
shitty
have
thing
this
to
ring.
bring from the like future, like an alternate reality thing. Like I brought the Beatles. Like
Yeah, no, but it's funny because with, I don't know if you're on TikTok at all, but like seeing people, they refer to it as like Tumblr 2.0, and like there's so many parallels that are happening on TikTok that happen on Tumblr. But the main difference is just how, I guess, public TikTok is. Like there, it's very hard to be, I guess, anonymous on TikTok because
mm,
it's so much of it is people's faces. And so
yeah.
one, it's there's more of an attack effect on TikTok with it. Like I can't just make a lying fake post on Tumblr anymore. Like I have to lie to a camera, and that's very different on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, people on TikTok do it with ease though. Like, people just like come on the screen and like, "Hey guys, like, did you know?" It's like they'll just say the most like outlandish thing, and it's like, "Wow, you said that very confidently."
Yeah, the new thing as well is this is not financial advice, but or
Mm.
now I cannot confirm this, but and it's like let me just spread this drastic misinformation about this random thing.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where like if people want to believe it, they will. So like that sort of disclaimer at the start is almost like comforting. Like, wow, I don't have to like actually like take stock in anything this person says, but it's kind of juicy. So
Like my thing lately that I started doing just for funsies with videos is like when I find out something that's like a random science fact or so, like a science theory that someone tells me or I hear about on TikTok, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to do a deep dive video on how this ruined my life for a week and like just do it.
yeah.
Like there was this whole trend about how apparently we don't know how European eels like reproduce and like if you cut open eels. And I was like, okay, I need to know what the answer is. And apparently, we do know how they do it because they can forcibly hormone eels and put them in a tank. And it doesn't happen super often, but we have, in fact, seen eels mate in captivity. But it's like,
Ah.
yeah, but we don't know how they mate in the wild. And we've never actually, like, there's still so much, like, we know what eels are. Like, it's not like they're on the bottom of the ocean. We know, like, see, I'm getting worked up. This ruined my life for a week.
It's, yeah, literally. I was just about to say it's like so funny that like a random TikTok or something like talking about eels can like literally spark like a crisis. Like for the next week, you'll be like, I need to know this. Like, how did this?
Yeah. Oh no, I literally like doing like I was doing basically doing the research on camera and like there was one point, this is how I knew I was sleep deprived because I was reading an article talking about how there are certain freshwater fish that mimic eels, but they are not actually part of the eel family. And that made me so sad. I almost started crying. I was
Oh my
like,
god.
oh my God, I need to log off. I need to go touch grass. Like this is a problem.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like it's like I said at the very start. Like it's one of those things where like sometimes you'll be like so deep and like you haven't slept in ages. Like this video is taking up your life that like the most random things will like set you off. Like the other day, I was like researching a video for like this restaurant that shut down called like Garfield Eats. I'm sure that you followed that drama.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was like researching for that and like
That
literally
just unlocked a part of my
yeah,
brain.
so to like unearth the memories, but like yeah, it's I was like researching it and like I was trying to find out if the owner because the owner is actually like he's just bizarre, but like I actually went into like a crisis because like it showed my family one of these videos that was like really funny. It was him and I was like, oh look, he's so like this video is so strange and weird, like he's acting so strangely. And then they were like, are you sure this isn't satire? And then I looked and I was like, is this satire? And literally it sent me into like a spiral. And I was like, I haven't slept. Like, I don't know what's real and what's not. Like, and I still don't
Yeah.
know. And I'm, like you said, I'm like getting worked up thinking about it now because like I don't know. It's one of those things where like,
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is like when my dad gets, because my dad is super online now too, which is a curse in and of itself, because he'll just send me random TikToks and be like, "What do they mean by this?" And now I'm explaining who Christine Chan is to my father, and like there's so many things where I'm just like, "This is bad." Like I'm just gonna hit the abort button. We're deleting the internet, but there was a time where him and my brother were just obsessed with the I don't know if you ever saw the news footage of the grab him by the pussy guy and how that started a ripple effect, and they were obsessed. They were like, it's so crazy that he did it so many times, and I'm like, you know that was fake, right?
yeah.
And he's like, no, it's not. And then I found the video of the guy who's like, yeah, no, I made it up. Here's the video that I made up, and I did all this, and like and it like ruined his day and he did not speak to me. Like it's wild how much of it is like it's hard to tell what's satire and what's not sometimes on the internet, but also so much of it is like I don't know if you've ever covered. I think it's Mr. Wrinkles is what he went by, the clown guy.
I'm afraid because I don't know what that is, and that's
Okay, Mr. Wrinkles was the clown guy who you could call him, and he was basically this scary looking clown man who would come to it was allegedly who would come to parties and scare your children, and he had the creepiest voice message. But half of the like but the it ended up being a hoax. They did a documentary on it, all of that. It was all like a plan. But the whole thing with Wrinkles was that there was all these YouTube videos that were made that were like from security cameras or like found footage of like Wrinkles showing up and like, oh, this is the last footage we have of everyone at this party. And you just see Wrinkles walking in the background, and people believed it. And it was like, and half of like, there was all these YouTubers who would like call the line, like Sam and Colby did videos where they called the number and like left threatening messages for Wrinkles the clown and all this stuff. And it was just all fake.
it's one of those things where it's like there's like J station like calling this number at like 1 a.m. Like you won't believe what happened. Except
Yeah.
like it's Mr. Wrinkles instead of like Boss Baby or something.
Yeah, but like there's so many things too that like have been proven hoax, or like the person who created it came forward and was like, oh yeah, no, this was fake. I did it because I wanted to and I was bored and X, Y, and Z. And people still either they choose not to look at that and they're like, okay, but how do we know that was really his project? Like the other guy isn't in this video, you know? And so there are people who choose to, when even shown the truth of like, oh yeah, no, this was fake, they still choose to believe that it was real.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because, like, sort of on the topic of, like, satire and hoaxes and stuff, I feel like it is actually, like, bonkers how far some people will go. Like, you think to yourself, like, someone would never go to this extent just because they were bored, but they do all the time. It's crazy how much free time some people have, and they will, like, literally do whatever it takes to, like, further this random lie that they made when they were, like, bored. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh no, I know people who like in college were like, "Hey, I kind of want to start an urban legend for fun." And they would like spend their nights in college in their dorm rooms like getting their friends together to be like, "Okay, so what on the Squarespace website, let's make a deep dive art." Like they would spend their time doing deep dives on things. I'm like, I don't want to say what any of them were because I kind of don't want to know if anything actually was taken as fact. I don't want to add to
Yeah,
it.
maybe they actually created it for real.
Yeah, and also, like, sometimes it was not good, like, sometimes it was, like, involving real living people, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea." Yeah, but yeah, no, it's wild what some people will do with, like, their free time for creating some of these hoaxes, and I don't think see, I wonder if any of those can really be done these days to the same degree, because I think so much of it is like, "Oh, it's an ARG now," and it's just, like, people, like, kind of tag that label on anything they can't readily explain or understand when it comes to YouTube content.
I've done a lot of like topics where like I've looked into ARGs or ARG adjacent sort of topics, and there are like subreddits like literally as soon as someone sees like a weird post, even if it isn't an ARG, even if it's just some like spam bot, they'll be like new ARG drops. So it's like I feel like you can't really do anything sort of like that these days without people clocking that it's fake, really. Like the thing with Alexandria's Genesis and all that is sort of like that was created like early internet and spread through like the early 2010s, which was like I feel like the golden age of just like ridiculous internet rumors. Like I remember going on Snopes like daily to be like is it true that like this ridiculous thing like happened? And it was always like no, but like I feel like things just like spread so often, or it's like those. I think I mentioned it in my Luna game, but like I have such fond memories of those like silly like don't stop reading this, you're reading it now, like there's a girl at the end of your bed and she's gonna like kill you at like 10 p.m. if you don't like send this to 10 friends and like repost it, and like I literally like people believed
Like,
that.
oh well, if maybe there's not a girl at the end of my bed, and if she's not going to show up at midnight, but like, what if something else bad happens because I didn't send this to 14 people? Like, maybe I should just do that. But also in that same, like, I think misinformation definitely spreads very quickly now. But I mean, as far as like me saying something in a TikTok is one thing, but me taking a video, purposely making it, and then putting it out, and then kind of hoping that it takes on a life of its own. I don't think could happen now. And I shouldn't use me as an example because like someone would just be like, "Oh, Amanda's making a new YouTube series." Like someone would just do that if I did anything weird. But like the only thing I can think of is like finding a video that I took maybe years ago, altering it some way, and then putting out and be like, "You guys, I found this. Like, what should I do?" Like, there was a look at this ghost that's like been following me and all this footage from 5 years ago. You know, like that's the only thing that I could really do.
Well, there was that like series a while ago. I don't know if you were there, or like, well, not that you were there for it, but like if you like, I know you were there for it, but like I don't know if you like remember it, but that like that thing that was like Dear David.
Oh my god, the ghost! I was like, she's gonna talk about the Twitter ghost kid. Okay, I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking about
for
because
real. Yeah,
I follow that artist now, and I was like, I didn't even realize it was the same dude until someone was like,
yeah.
I don't think you can just go back to posting art content after you do the dead kid on your Twitter. I don't think you can just go back to doing that. But like, apparently, it was like people even now people are like, oh yeah, no, you can see that the pixels are different and all of that. But like he kept that going for so long. See, I think like a text-based, photo-based thing like that, I mean, I think you can at least get like if you commit to something like that, maybe yeah, you can do something like that. But like I don't think like something like the, grab him by the pussy or whatever, I don't think that could really be done today. With like where it's just like, oh yeah, here is this news footage, this outtake, this guy got fired later, and then you kind of like it's like no, we can look up whether or not like oh hey, I want to talk to so and so, I heard they fired this reporter. It's like it's too easy for people to jump on that, especially since so many platforms now, like major news publications, have digital culture journalists and stuff they spend their time doing deep dives on like the same content that we cover, and it's like yeah, like you good luck, have fun, Wrinkles, you're not going to be able to do it now.
It's sort of interesting that you bring that up because it is sort of true that like you couldn't really do like a sort of like an ARG sort of misinformation thing these days, but at the same time I feel like misinformation is so common as well. Like weirdly, I feel like it's the worst information that's misinformation that spreads like horse vaccine, no, not horse medicine being like a cure.
Ivermectin. Hi, please do not take ivermectin. If you are listening to this, please don't. I don't care what Alex Jones does, don't do it.
Yeah, it's the type of shit that like Alex Jones and like I don't know, Ben Shapiro or whatever say that spreads, but like you can't have a fun ghost ARG anymore. It's like the wrong misinformation is spreading. We need to get all the like
Yeah, nothing unhinged is going to be spread anymore. Like, we can't have any mermaid sightings off the coast of Catalina Island. Like, we can't have any of that because then all of a sudden Catalina Island is swarmed with CNN and all these other news sources being like, "So where was the mermaid scene? Where was this footage taken?" Like, it's not fun anymore. We can't. And then everyone in their pocket now and on their computer has like some type of program where they can analyze pixels in a photo, and it's like, yeah, okay, if I alter anything, good luck, unless you deep fry it. That's the only thing you can get away with.
I mean, yeah, you can't like edit your eyes to be bright violet and show it to your friends, be like, "This is me in my true form."
Yes. Oh gosh. I mean, is there anything else you want to go over or talk about at all before we get into your shenanigan, if you have one?
Oh man, I'm still trying to like think of one.
Can you tell us anything about any upcoming videos that you are working on right now, other than the Garfield restaurant?
Well, yeah, that's the one I'm working on now. But yeah, I'm working on for later this month. I'm working on another like sort of deep dive, sort of like the Warrior Cats one and the Neopets one, which is very close to my heart, and a lot of people have been
Ooh,
requesting. I think it's probably my most requested video. So yeah, I'm very excited for
ooh.
that. I won't share it yet because that's
Okay.
classified, but
Yes,
I
top secret.
yeah, but it should be out later. Well, yeah, this month because it's still September for you, right?
Yeah, today,
Yeah,
yes, it's September.
yeah, it's like awkward like time
We
difference,
love
but it's the
time
first
zone
of
difference,
October.
yes. I was really worried today. I was like, I should message her to make sure that it is still the right day. Because I like did a whole Google search on like trying to figure out, okay, if it's 11 a.m. her time, then I know it's the day before my time, but then what time is that? So I did a whole like, I checked 3 different clocks before I confirmed the time.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I had to like organize a bunch of Discord calls with a bunch of people recently for like project thing, and oh my god, it was such a nightmare. I got the times wrong like 20 times, and I had to do that same thing where I like cross reference like 20 different clocks to be like, okay, so like it's a day behind and it's like 13 hours and it's like PST. Like no, wait, it's CST. I was like so confused. I was kept getting it wrong. It was like so stressful. But I think I've got it figured out. It's just a bit of an ordeal.
100%. But it's cool that, I mean, as we've been talking about how the internet has evolved and technology has evolved, so you can't really do like hoaxes or anything like that much anymore. Like, I mean, it's cool that we are able to, their technology is advanced so that, like, I can do this podcast with you and during pandemic. Like, we're literally on opposite sides of the world.
Yeah, I feel like people are sort of like it's easy to be like sort of like skeptical or like a little bit uncertain about like how technology is going, but like I feel like it's like there's a lot of cool stuff going on as well.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Okay, do we have a
Yeah.
shenanigan now?
Okay. Yes. Yes. I have a shenanigan.
Okay.
I was like
The
mulling it
floor
over in
is
my head.
yours.
Yeah,
The floor
okay.
is yours.
I don't know how old I was. Maybe like 9 or 10. Yeah, I think around that. Maybe a little bit younger. But anyway, me and my family, we went on like it was sort of like a camping thing, and we went to this place that was like it had like a train, and yeah, it had this like walk, and there was a train there, and there was like a big sort of like lake thing, or it was more of like a river sort of thing. We did the walk and everything, and it was all good, and then we ended up going swimming in the river that was right by the train, and that was all good, and it was like fun. We had fun like swimming and stuff, and so we got out, and I got out to change, and I was like changing into my clothes and stuff, and it was like when you're like wet and things sort of like take a while to like get on because
Oh
like
yeah, there's the sticking, the friction. It's like a
yeah,
suction cup to your legs. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
for sure. And so it was like taking a while to get on. And then I heard the train coming and I was like stressing out, and my dad was like, you might want to like hurry up because I think the train is coming. I was like, oh shit. And so I was like going like as fast as I could, and I was trying to get my like pants on, but I was like the friction was there, and so literally the train came right around the corner, and I fell over like forward, and yeah, I had my bare naked butt facing the train that was filled with people. And I didn't see the reaction because I had face planted, but it was very embarrassing, and my family did not let me live that down, and still haven't.
Yeah, at least you can laugh about it now, even though I'm sure at the time it was mortifying, like that's
It was. I mean, I'm honestly glad I didn't see the people in the train, because it was like one of those open ones at the side as well. So there was like,
oh my
like fully able to just see this like girl like struggling on the ground trying to get pants on. Oh man, that was a low point.
Yeah. That's a fun shenanigan, though. At least you can laugh about it looking back, It's not like you were
for
like,
sure.
it's not like it was like a year ago, like you were a kid.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing, but yeah, like you said, it's pretty funny looking back. I mean, I should have known better than to do it right beside the train tracks, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you again so much for coming on and chatting with me. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Izzzyzzz, which is Izzzyzzz, or you can find me on Twitter at the same thing, but it's Izzzyzzz Art, and on Instagram, but I don't really use it, so I mean, you can if you want, but I don't post much.
Just get those numbers up for her. That's
yeah.
nice.
You don't have to look at my stuff. You can just subscribe. What is the thing on Instagram? Follow? Yeah. I don't even remember, so I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have that all linked down below, and all the Swell Shenanigans stuff will be linked down below. And as always, you can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, everywhere you find your podcast. Our YouTube channel will be linked down below. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over there, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Always nice. And that's going to be it. Thank you. Goodbye.